and you can show the face of the individual and it will accurately go and kill the person. And should that power be given to the machine?
Skill is the currency of future, skills is the currency of future, but what does that actually mean?
What's the ethical consideration of AI when we start to use that in recruitment?
I'm more worried about the biases coming from the panel than from the AI. So hiring is all about some risk, and how do we mitigate those risks with the help of technology? How do I let go my talent because I took so much of time and effort to bring them individual insight, train them, and them now productive.
Imagine this, your next star performer is not got through scanning variety of resumes at your hand, but by an algorithm designed by someone who understands what you want as well as what you need, not just what you want. This is the world of AI, and this is what the future of talent acquisition looks like. And for that, we have this wonderful panel that we want to talk or deliberate about how the AI is revolutionizing the marketplace, the business needs, the fast changing business needs. And because of that, we are all gearing ahead, and how the industry is using these tools and technologies in their day-to-day talent acquisition is what the industry stalwarts today in front of you would be dealing with. So as the talent marketplace becomes more complex and business needs evolve at a very fast pace, this panel discussion brings together these industry stalwarts to explore how AI is applied to build agile, data-driven, and future-ready workplace. So over to you, Vaibhav.
Thank you. So I was just saying thank you for the wonderful introduction, Dr. Purnima Gupta, and to Gautam as well. No pressure at all hosting the first panel. I hope we do a good enough job to set this up for the rest of the panelists which follow as well. But I say that as a joke because I have absolutely no doubt that we will. In large part, not because of the moderator, but because of the panelists who are here. My job is super simple. Those of you who have gone through the profiles of the panelists, you would realize that this is a panel which has extensive experience in the area of talent management, extensive experience in the area of learning and development, and recruitment as well. All of which are very pertinent from what is happening in the space of AI and how AI is impacting these particular spaces as well. So that is the contour of what we'll be discussing upon. We'll be touching upon each of these topics that I mentioned and learning from the experiences of our panelists. And with that, Sabi, maybe we start off with you.
Okay.
So what do you think is the role of AI in shaping talent management in your organization? Maybe we talk from that particular experience.
We started with it a few years back. At Schneider, we've got a platform which is called OTM, Open Talent Market. And the idea there is that since we have a large community of professionals spread across the world actually, and across different business streams. So we were realizing that there were people who were moving out of the organization for opportunities to grow. On the other hand, we were hiring people of the same profile or similar profiles in some other part of the business or the organization around the world. And that was the genesis of creating something like this. This is an open platform where everyone has a profile. So almost 90+% of our employees would have their profile there. And the AI would actually pick all opportunities are routed through that. And as and when the opportunity is pushed on the OTM, the AI would very quickly identify people who would be suitable for something like that. And not just identify, but also prompt the hiring manager as well as the concerned employee that this could be an opportunity for you to pick up. So then the both of them could get connected, and then we see. And so this is the algorithm working. But then there were a lot of emotions and sentiments about it that, how can I've just hired someone, and then what are the contours that we need to design for the organization? How do we control this? You've got someone who's just joined and now he's found an opportunity somewhere else and is wanting to figure out something. So there was a lot of emotional and conversations around the organization, but we insisted that it is really open talent market. Anyone can apply, can get the opportunity anywhere at any point of time. So there are no restrictions in terms of there are no lock-in period that you should have completed 1 month, 3 months, 3 years, 5 years, nothing. And the algorithm is becoming smarter and smarter over a period, because now we've also moved from just the experiences of the profile into the skills. And like it is on other tools, like on LinkedIn, if you put in your experiences there, it would break it into your skills. So if I say that I've been recruiting, I've been building HR strategy, it'll break it down into my skills, the basic building block of the skills. And what the algorithm for us is able to do is that it would be able to actually map the skills. So now it is also becoming agnostic of the function. So it's not that someone who's in HR would find opportunities only in HR, because when it is broken down to skills, then someone can find opportunity in marketing because they've built some skill of marketing, some skill of strategy, or wherever. This has really opened up. The point that I wanted to bring before I close is the fact that while algorithm eased it out and really made it accessible and easy, there was a lot of human behavior and human psychology and emotion that we had to manage, and we are still managing, to be honest. That process is on. So that's how we've done that.
Thanks a lot for that great example, Sabhi. I think this is a conundrum that all of us in HR face. While we try and believe in the philosophy that the employee is the owner of their career, and we want to enable that to happen through technology, but then what is the role of the organization and what is the role of the line manager in that? And Sudhir, if I can bring you in that particular conversation. So at Adani, is that something that you've been also looking at, that how does AI enable talent identification, then talent management to happen? And what is the role there of the line manager to play?
So I think the universal is same across wherever you go. When it comes to talent, internal and external, I think internally we all struggle with the same set of problems, is that how do I let go my talent, because I took so much of time and effort to bring that individual inside, train them, and them now productive. Somebody else is going out. And I think that mindset will take time for people to change. While we have also gone through and created a profiling of the entire 45,000 people working with us in India. And it's called Saksham. Basically, it means, the word is derived from that. You empower an individual to do what they want to do in their career. And basis that, they have updated their profile. And the same technologies are being used to really see what kind of roles they will fit into it. But the challenge comes is that what I am doing today, the AI will only throw what you are probable jobs which will be matching to you. But I think the aspiration piece, what we are working upon, is that what next you can do. So if you are into marketing, you want to do branding, you want to do some corporate communication, or you want to get into some other set of line of business, we have started capturing those set of informations also, so that it starts throwing up the jobs which are more futuristic for you, because that's what you aspire to do. And when I'm looking at the talent, I'm looking from the lens of the people who are in the experience bracket of 5 to 10 to 15 years, who are not very junior or not very senior, in between, and who wants to grow in the organization. So that's on the talent, internal talent point of view. The external, we have building something in-house, because what we have realized is that all this thing which was built in California was not for India. And they were never customized for the country like India, and they never envisaged that this kind of scale can happen in India. So all the algorithm and all those things fails when we put a lens of India, when we put a demography, when we put a scale in terms of volume, in terms of reasons why people drop the offer. It doesn't work out here. So we are building something in-house, and also hopefully we should be able to roll out some of the proof of concept in the next couple of months, which will talk not only about the jobs which will fit you, but I'm also going 2 steps behind, where I'm looking at all the assessments which we have done for the hires. What was the ideal profile for an organization? Somebody came and working with us, somebody came and left me in 2 years. Were they culturally misfit? And if those profiles gives me an opportunity to identify them at the interview stage, then I will weed them out and not put them into the interviews. Also, some kind of assessment which everybody talks about, but it is more of a relevant thing pertaining to the job description. So the questions will be picked up from the job description, and the algorithm will keep talking to the hiring manager who's interviewing the candidate that these are the areas you have evaluated. There are certain areas you have not even touched upon, which was spoken in the JD. You need to probe on those areas also. And these things are all transcripted. Then the system goes back, looks at the JD, looks at the feedback, and looks at their transcripts. And then they recommend the candidate whether this would be fitting into for the next rounds or not. So we are taking a lot of help of AI, and in a good way, hopefully, which will save the time for the hiring manager, because that's not their day job. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for those examples. Thank you. And if I could get the other panelists to come in, I think both Sabe and Sudhir also spoke about, hinges upon the fact that you have employees who are maintaining their internal profiles. Much as all of our people, and myself included, like to maintain our LinkedIn profiles, but we're not very conscientious about maintaining our internal talent profiles. So what has been your experience with that? How do you actually enable that to happen so that they can also take the benefit of AI as well with all the matching which is required?
I'll maybe take a few steps back. So everybody's talking about that skill is the currency of future, skills is the currency of future, but what does that actually mean, right? So we have obviously the organization that I'm talking about, Bear, it is a 150-year-old organization. For the last couple of years, we have gone through a massive transformation. It is not because now every other organization is going under transformation, but the transformation we are changing from, say, Android to iOS. That's the kind of organization. And one of the main things that we have looked at is, we don't call it talent management, we call it talent impact. How can we move away from titles and designations into skills and tasks? What that helps us to do is, if I have very categorically put skills and tasks, first of all, I'm able to understand as to what are the roles that will be impacted by AI more than the others. That helps me identify and maybe influence the people whose jobs will be impacted to maybe look at other kind of stuff, to look at other kind of roles which might have less impact. So that's the organizational readiness that we are already doing. Now the tools, technology, etc. will come later, but what we are talking about, and as you also mentioned that everybody's talking about self-authored careers. But then what is the role of the manager in the organization there? The role of the manager in the organization is enablement. Even today, obviously it is not anybody's fault the way we have sort of grown up. For us, a career change, a promotion progression is related to a ladder change or a change in levels, etc. How can we de-link it? How can we deconstruct the way it happens? How can we, if there is a new skill set, and new skill set doesn't mean a certification. We have to go back to the apprenticeship where it is more of doing rather than just getting a certification. Once we do that, obviously there might be comp-related changes, etc. But de-link it from the basic promotion mindset that we have. So these are some of the things that we are working so that tools and technology will happen. There will be rates of change, etc. We'll also look at internally, externally. But how is organization getting ready for it already?
So, Misal, if I can bring you in, and Plith as well, about your thoughts about the role of AI in talent management that you're seeing in your respective organizations. And again, with that, what is the human touch still which is required, which is crucial, or maybe not required at all? Why do we assume that it is required? So,
I'll try to spin it in two sense. One is from a talent attraction standpoint, when we try and bring in talent, to also managing them in the ecosystems of the Big Four in what we typically do. Now, we all know AI has been very prevalent in changing the shape and forms in which we have been recruiting and finding people. What it is essentially meaning, Big Fours like us, what we typically do is hire talent across verticals. So it's not that we only specifically look for a talent. What was extremely difficult for us was to ensure that if we go to a particular campus and there's so many applicants, the structured approach was very simple, that you do a test, you find people, cut off, and then you evaluate. While at the back of my mind as a leader, I always knew the test is not always the right indicator. What it is doing essentially is giving you a basic threshold. But with my limitations, what it did was not letting me evaluate people who could have been a great potential pool to success. Now, what we did was we are getting a Gen AI, which is not only evaluating the test score, but it is evaluating people in a 360-degree view and giving me what is going to be a likely right fit for you in your system, understanding the profile of the individual from start to end. Okay, what it does is it gives me scores around the stability, the scores around right fit for the role, the scores around the aptitude, technical analysis. And what I need to do with the human part that Vaibhav brought in was to see what is looking at as a rosy picture could be very rosy, but apply my lens to evaluate that individual to see if they are ticking all the right boxes. Now, what is AI doing, enabling us, is giving us strong personas who could be your right leader, fit, culture fit, all of it. But what, as a leader on the ground, what we typically need to do is assess if those skills are coming in. Now, when we bring in those people, students from colleges to our ecosystem, we try and create a 360-degree learning platform. So the day somebody comes in the door and we say, hey, this is sort of a learning program that can be enabled for you, and we encourage you to do these sort of learnings, basis the persona and the profile that has been created in the ecosystem for them, and so on and so forth. Even the resource management piece, which is Big Fours typically don't work on bench culture, while we could have small benches of people sitting in, but resource fungibility has always been a challenge. We might have resources sitting in our ecosystem, but how best we use it, I think AI has been one forum which has really helped us up our game on that, and fungibly use resource across consulting domain has really helped us there.
Thank you, Misar.
Yeah, I think from our sector, right, it's a little different lens that we have to look at from a healthcare standpoint. Because most of us, when we look at AI, we look at, how fast things can move, or we think of our phones, but over here, there's a personal touch to it. And like Rohit mentioned, for us, going few steps back, building that awareness to our teams was very, very important, especially I'm talking about the talent acquisition space, right? Because somewhere there is a sense of a threat, towards their personal spaces or jobs. But I think building that awareness was the very, very first step for us. Talking them through how, through AI, we're actually trying to bring in efficiency. But at the same time, with you, we have that human touch or that empathy which is needed to enable what we want to do, right? So I think it goes back few steps where we are still trying to build that awareness within our teams in the talent management space before we take that big step into bringing that scale of talent through AI as well.
And maybe, Plit, I can just build upon that and segue into the next part, which was actually talent acquisition. And we have, like I mentioned previously as well, great wealth of experience in the acquisition space as much as we have in the other spaces as well. We've touched upon talent acquisition and the role that AI has already started to play, be it in terms of campus that Misal spoke about, or be it in the other areas as well, as far as lateral recruitment is also concerned. I think one thing top of mind for everyone is, what's the ethical consideration of AI when we start to use that in recruitment? And much as we can train, and all of us do as HR professionals, we train fellow HR professionals, we train hiring managers about what are the watch-outs, what are the kind of biases that all of us carry, and how is it that you can negate that? How do you build an AI engine, or how are you sure that the AI engine that you're using actually is free of these biases?
I think having an openness to understand and to accept what we want to do, right? Enabling it through AI. We were launching one of our products, so we had an individual who came and spoke about the product, about what AI can actually do to transform the way we are looking at bringing in this talent, right? And while we were talking about this product, we were showing the reach that this product can have when in about 45 minutes time, reaching about 2,000 colleges, right? In that room, we had so many questions on what can this product do further, right? And I think rather than looking at the positives of this particular product, people were mainly, concerned about themselves and how they want to really see this enabled from a human standpoint. I think that's where how do we really accept this change that is going to happen through an AI is going to be very critical.
Thank you. And Rohit?
So I think what has also happened is it has become a FOMO. If you are not talking about AI, it means that you are missing out on something. See, what happens is every organization is coming from a different place. They have a different background. They have a different legacy. So instead of just jumping onto any bandwagon, we need to look at, analyze as to what it means for us. What somebody might be, a use case somebody might be able to have might not exactly fit to me, right? So recently what happened is we have to hire 300 medical reps in a period of 3 months. So what we did is we did first round of interviewing, etc., through AI and LLM models and those kind of thing. But instead of just depending on AI, we took a sample size and we asked the managers to also go through the selection process for the same resources, and we see what is the relation, what is the correlation that the manager is saying that this is the right fit, whether the AI model is saying the same or not. Once that correlation, we found that correlation is very high, then it gives confidence to me as an HR, it gives confidence to the business, and then that becomes a kind of a precedence moving into other thing. Otherwise, just jumping into it because everybody is doing and I also have to do, I don't think that's the way it should be. But obviously, and ethics around usage of AI is something I think both academician and the industrialists both are sort of grappling as to what's the right way. I think when internet came, we were talking about, now we don't talk about internet, we talk about as to how we are working with internet. I am confident in couple of years, we won't be talking about AI, we'll be talking about as to how we work and live AI, right? So I think this is also a journey, and I think we will have maybe bit hiccups, but we'll be good when we reach at the other end.
No, absolutely. Very rightly said. Why should we just take it as a given that AI has to be integrated, it has to be there? There are organizations and there are sectors where it probably makes sense to be the pioneer and be the first. But there are also sectors wherein you can probably take a bit of a watch and see what's happening and what's evolving. But Sudhir, if I bring you in this space, and you already spoke about it, you're using AI within your talent acquisition process, but at what stages are you using it? And again, my previous question as well, that how are you watching out for biases which might be inherently built in?
So currently we are piloting only at the leadership hiring. We are not doing at a group level, at all the junior levels and all those things, because it's a journey. I can't just turn off my current traditional way of hiring and say okay, everything will be AI. Because even the AI is also learning, and I don't know how much time will it take to learn, because in terms of what is the kind of people we have been absorbing or we have been consuming for so many years, suddenly the AI can't come and tell me from the next month give us these are the right set of people. More from the biases, I think I'm more worried about the biases coming from the panel than from the AI, because AI will only learn and do it much better, but the biases which are built into the panel's head is very difficult to really break them. And
I assume you don't mean this particular panel,
no.
You mean the hiring
interview panel. And I think that's where the AI will help us out in removing those biases from the panels, is that because you need to also look at some of the elements which you have not been looking at it. And that's where we feel that the technology will help all of us, and it will only take us forward in a right direction. It will only enable us to do the job much faster, with a better output and higher quality. Also, there is no foolproof solution for a right or a wrong hiring. I was talking to one of the senior partners at the Conferry, and she said that I was working on the mandate. We had one of the organization as a CEO, and after so much of hard work, the guy came, and after a year he is leaving now. So technically, with all the due diligence done by the promoter, everybody, and still didn't work out. And the franchise is going back now at least 3 years, because the CEO is supposed to take it forward. So hiring is all about some risk, and how do we mitigate those risks with the help of technology? I'm only hoping and praying that AI will help us out, really reduce those risks.
Thank you, Sudhir, for that. Sudhir spoke about usage in leadership, but of course, Misal, you were talking about usage in campus, and how is it that you actually do that? So same question there itself as well. So what goes into creating a profile for what is a successful campus hire for you, and how is it that technology is also enabling that as well?
Very, very important point, because campus becomes one threshold, and it, at least in our scenario, it enables 25 to 30% of our hiring ecosystem. Now, like I said, what do we need? And AI, we have been talking about, it's trained by us. Sudhir rightly said, it's about how a panel can really pollute an AI. It learns from us. So it's important that we give them a safe and a very neutral ecosystem so that there are biases. Look, every system, be it human or technology, it will have its own biases and challenges. The biggest problem is how deep we want the AI to go and evaluate an individual. I think that's a barrier that we need to define and say, we need to stop here. While there is no limit to it, going into person profile, social media profile, they can scan everything for you and give you on a platter. While it's great for me, but again, as an ecosystem to risk, we don't typically do that. Now, coming to your question, what do we really do to analyze and ensure how do we create profiles? Now, in campuses, there are a lot of standard recruiting that we typically do. And to reduce redundancy of effort, we typically visit more than 100 campuses, I would say. And it's a tedious task, right? We focus on two things, efficiency and experience. What efficiency does is a small amount of team can really churn the profiles for you. So we feed profile, we feed job descriptions, and we assess applications through what people give. We have tests which are curated to profile to assess what we typically need. And also AI does suggest us skills that we could need for the particular role, which we might be missing in. So it gives me a ranking of A, B, C, and it gives us a choice that you make a pick, which one do you want to hire? And there are cases wherein we go basis what they recommend. There are cases wherein we make a mix of one A and B and C. And do we do? So it's very important till the time the systems are very trained, we continuously be evolved into it. Second is from an experience standpoint, we try and personalize it. Typically, if a mail goes, video offer goes with a head of HR addressing you, hey, Vaibhav, welcome, here is an offer, talking to you in that forum, it feels very, very personal. So while I know it's not humanly possible for us to call everyone and do that, but AI in that platform is really enabling and helping us reach that deep.
Thanks a lot for all those different use cases, Misal. Sabi, bring you back in, and then Rohit as well. So Sabi, you started from the first question talking about how is AI enabling within Schneider the identification of roles for talent. But if we bring it the other way around, if we look at how does it enable organization to identify what are skills for the future, and how does it enable organization to prepare for the shift to happen as well? So what's the role there? Is there something which is already happening, or is it more of an expectation that you would have that this is the space in which technology should evolve?
So what happens is that, like Rohit was saying, that when now every conference, every conversation that we get into, whether it's about industrial relations, whether it's about organization, whether it's about India-Pakistan war, AI would be the point of conversation, and we keep talking about it. So I think it is important for us to be really not get carried away with the technology this much. And I started with that, and I really want to reiterate it, as there's an equal amount of thinking and transformation that is required for us as humans. And I think that will only enable the real advantages of it. So we get enthused with the idea and the possibilities that it can bring in. And I was recently part of a conversation that was happening, that should the drones are very good, they are very accurate, they can now go and they can identify, and you can show the face of the individual and it will accurately go and kill the person. And should that power be given to the machine, that it can, we just train them for once and they go and kill, and that's it, story over. So we don't need to. And the debate was, should that power be given or should that power not be given? And both the sides had their arguments on that. After a while, I intervened and I said, the point is, after all the technology, all the awareness, everything, we are still, and the debate is still, should we kill or not? You need to first understand, are we still fighting and killing each other? Is that where you want to use the machine and artificial intelligence and this? That is a more important decision that we need to take first for ourselves. Will we still make decisions based on who is able to kill whom? And that's the shift that it is required, and we will have to really think about it as professionals. Coming to your question, this is helping us to some extent. What is happening is that, and apparently my colleague is here, Anuji trained me yesterday only on the fact that if I put my profile on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will actually break it into skills. And it will automatically pop up that these are the skills that I have built over years. We have this similar application in our tool that I was referring to. So what is happening is that we are able to gather a repository of what are the skill sets that are available in the organization. We are also able to identify what are the skill sets that we would need more. And and AI can help us map this. Are we there yet? No. Theoretically, yes. We have the capability for now, but we've not experimented, we've not arrived there.
No, thanks a lot for sharing that, Sabhi. And Rohit, for the same point, but also additional element of how do you bring in external insights and data? Because when you're doing this kind of a planning for the organization, what you need to look at is what Sabhi spoke about, which is the internal skills repository, but also look at how the external market is evolving.
See, it has always been, but more so now. Everybody requires three things to develop, right? Mindset, skill set, and tool set. Okay? What has happened is that talent management has been, and obviously I know many of us are coming from L&D and talent management, so it is just my viewpoint. I like to put that. Talent management has been reactive for quite some time, right? We look at as to what is happening and then we create some curriculum. Secondly, what is happening is we have been covering everything. So instead of being better, what we are doing is we are doing more. And lastly, see, learning should align with the human experience that we are giving. And by human experience, I mean as to how the careers are shaping. I think there is still a lag as to how the careers have evolved versus how the learning has happened. So from that perspective, I think, and what is now happening is people are integrating AI into talent management. I think that's a wrong way to look at it. You need to completely revamp the talent management. You should not be just integrating AI into it. As I said, that if you break down every job, remove titles, remove designation, put into skill sets, you not only get skill sets which are relevant today, you will also get as to skill sets which are relevant tomorrow. And when you are talking about the external insight as to from where we are getting the external data, there is a journey of a role, right? So there is a journey within, and obviously now there is a lot of data. And what I want to also say is, let us start treating skill as a data, not as a document, right? So what happens is now, and even in that, AI can help us look at as to what's the trend going outside. It can analyze for various organizations that you give and all those kind of things, so that you will have a repository of the skill sets that you will require 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, and you will have a skill set, a repository of a skill set that you currently have. Map and then create a personalized talent management plan, and not just certificate or courses, but apprenticeship. Let them do it the hard way.
Thanks a lot, and such a great insight, specifically for me, that point about don't integrate, but actually tear it down and build from scratch. The same kind of a mindset for businesses which wanted to be mobile first, but some of them started initially with creating a website and then looking at how does that translate into a mobile. So don't fall into that fallacy. So thanks a lot for this wonderful discussion. I did want to have one more segue, which was about asking for real-world applications, one real-world application in each of the companies, but we'll probably skip that because I think in the interest of our discussion itself, we've covered more than one.